What's going on, guys? It's RPG Zeke here, coming at you with another video. This time, a blog. I'm going to take you guys through some of my experiences with the Pasadena Summoner's Legacy event for Battle Spirits Saga. It's the last event that Bandai is running for the game. This is my first time doing a blog, so I hope you guys enjoy as I kind of talk over some things. But here we go.
This is right about the time that I was figuring out where I was going from the airport. Ended up going over to the Big Dog, which is a big staple or an individual from the Battle Spirits Saga community. Met up with a lot of people there from the Arizona crew, which is where I'm from. And then we ended up getting street-style tacos there, courtesy of the Big Dog. And then we just kind of hung out, played some games, talked about previous matches, previous tournaments, everybody's ups and downs with the game. It was a very good time. It was after some time that we decided to depart Big Dogs and then finally go back to the Airbnb. And this story, I have to share it because I found it so funny. When we got to the Airbnb, everybody started passing out and pretty much all the beds were already claimed. So I got to sleep on an ottoman, probably no bigger than myself, barely any bigger, that had wooden beams placed throughout. So it was just very uncomfortable the whole time I'm trying to sleep. But nobody told me that it was going to be like I'm in the vacuum of space between two sawmills. There was some present company that snored quite a lot, and I'm not used to snoring. So I didn't sleep like really good at all from that day into the event, which took place on Saturday. But it was so funny to me. And what cracked me up even more is I didn't record any audio clips. I thought about it, but I was like, no, like that's too much. But it was just really funny because you have everybody in this Airbnb, and I haven't had one of those life events in so long where I'm just kind of like sharing a place with a whole bunch of people. And so, yeah, I don't know, like it was just something really small, but I had to share because I just thought it was so funny. And as soon as I came home, it was one of the stories I told a bunch of my friends and then also my partner. I was like, you have to hear about how I had to sleep from Friday to Saturday because it was so funny. But anyways, moving on, that Saturday morning, we're doing last minute prep. And then from there, we start sleeving up a bunch of last minute decisions. And then we finally head to the center.
I caught that on camera. I'm so effing happy, dude. That's going in. I'm so stoked.
So it was right about this time when I stopped getting B-roll and we actually started getting partnered up for our Gunslinger event format for Battle Spirits. I will say this event was really, really fun. You were able to get a lot of games in, and the more games you played, wins, losses, whatever, you were rewarded for the participation, which is really nice. And you have to imagine, you're putting a lot of money forward to fly out for most of us, get a hotel, get an Airbnb, whatever it is, to go participate at one of these events. I've always heard of other events and I've never gone to them because they never really have intrigued my interest, whether it's from payout, tournament wins, tournament prizing, whatever it is, just never seem worth the effort. This one, just because it was the last event, I ended up going, but the resounding sentiment there was this allowed people to actually play the game on top of get good participation for actually playing and trying, which I think is a really good thing that Bandai needs to recognize, and maybe start doing an event like this or something similar with other TCGs would be great. But the way it worked is you got this little pamphlet, which we started off with at the beginning of the video, and then they would give you a stamp for every win that you got. If you got one win, you had this little gray brick. There was certain intervals there where you were able to go claim prizing during downtime, and they would put initials to what they gave you based on the wins that you got in those little gray bricks. And I was like, wow, that's really smart. It's a good way of keeping track, and it makes you responsible for holding on to this. And they also stamp your losses too, so you have like an idea of how many total matches you played in the day. But yeah, I was able to get all my 15 wins. And again, none of the B-roll or anything is going to be from the matches that I played. In the video description, which I'm sure some of you might have already seen, I have all the matches there of who I played with and was allowed to record with. I also have matches with the developers as well. So one of the developers, I was able to play 2 rounds with him. We switched off decks, and that was a really good time. So if you have a second, you can pause the video or finish the blog, whatever you want to do, and then check out all those videos. I'm going to post them chronological order from when they took place in the day. And I hope you guys enjoy those videos as the blog continues.
After the first set of matches, we eventually got like a break, kind of like an intermediate thing in the middle. And we were able to claim prizing, like I was saying just a moment ago, or we could also go talk to Michael Elliott, who was also, as you can see here, doing signatures. I was fortunate enough that I lost pretty early in my round 1 in the day, that Michael was actually standing off to the side, and as they were trying to figure out the tempo of how this gunslinger event was going to take place, I was able to pick Michael's brain for quite a bit. We talked about other games that he's done and worked on. We talked about how he gets paid from Bandai and how that works long term. We talked about the state of battle Spirits Saga, the obvious decline and essentially the closure of it. A lot of that was mainly a discussion for me. I did not record that discussion. It was not a recorded interview segment. I simply was standing in line. He happened to be there, and we just kind of shot the shit for a while, and I kind of picked his brain as one game designer to another, since essentially that is my education, believe it or not, is in game design. He had a lot of good input, and I respect his decision to kind of fill me in on some things I had questions on, and he was really insightful. But yeah, so here he is kind of signing some stuff. I ended up having him sign a complete Nova package, as well as one of my World's Dream Bombs. Him, as well as 2 other developers that were on site, which you'll see here in a little bit, were able to also sign my Scotty game mat, which is one of my favorite, very pretty game mats, which you're seeing in all these games, essentially, that I'm playing throughout the day. I repped that the entire time, and then you'll notice in those videos, if you decide to watch them all, my mat goes from no signatures to all of a sudden 3 showing up. One of them is Kento, game developer, Tatsuro, which is another game developer, and then Michael Elliott. This was another moment that I was able to catch that I'm really proud of, but one of the individuals that I roomed with at the Pasadena event, name is Theo, he ended up bringing a Battle Spirits box for an unboxing with some of the developers and Bandai staff, as well as some onlookers that were fortunate enough to get some boosters passed over to them so they could join in on the fun for the unboxing. So I sped this part up a little bit. I honestly have no idea if what they're pulling is good or not. This goes way above my understanding of the prior card game before Battle Spirits Saga. So Theo, if you're listening, I think this was really cool and a really heartfelt thing to do at the event, and I'm glad I was able to record it and have a lot of fun spectating with you guys. So thank you very much for sharing that moment with us. After that brief intermission of what would be an unboxing experience, more matches persisted throughout the next several hours, eventually cementing in those that still needed to get some wins for their final play sets of the new cards and textured versions, as well as showcasing the top 8, doing a group photo, doing some raffles and announcements.
Dorian! Number 2 is John Rios. John Rios. Number 3 is Nico P. We can have you over at the spinner, the Dawn of History one for photos real quick. P. Oh, he got it?
Reservations and that's awesome.
Once we get upstairs, I can give you like actual address. But
Last event, these things happen, but I appreciate that all of you have enjoyed the game for all this time and supported it, and I and Bandai all thank you for your support.
Third time's a charm.
Shortly after the concluding messages there, they kind of wound everything down. Everybody said their last goodbyes. We tried figuring out dinner, which I'll put up some videos here. It was the first time I did Korean barbecue, where they bring all the meat out to you, or they bring all the stuff out, and then you end up cooking it on the table. That was really fun. I was super confused. I never felt like I had enough napkins. But it was a lot of fun, and I would definitely do it again with everybody that was there. It was a good conversation and everything else the entire time. After that, went back to the Airbnb, and then, I don't know if you saw, but in those raffles, Arizona, essentially, the Arizona crew ended up getting 2 of those big plaques, one uncut sheet, and then the other one with Generational Link kind of plastered throughout. If you're curious how that is, what that's like, trying to get all that to fit into a car and drive around with it, I'll put up some pictures here. It was really funny. The way we had to finesse getting everybody in the vehicle to go have breakfast the next day was really, really funny. After this, it was off to the airport, and next thing you know, later that night, Sunday, I'm finally home and starting to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with this video, or how I wanted to edit the contents to make it kind of fun for you guys, and even do a segment like this where you guys can kind of see me, but not really, and I decided to go about it this way. But yeah, it was a bunch of fun. I'm definitely going to miss Battle Spirits Saga. Obviously, we've already talked about it on the channel. What am I going to be doing now? What other games am I going to try and participate in? I won't do all that stuff really in this video, since I want it to be focused mainly about the first ever and last ever Summoner's Legacy event in Pasadena, California, which was awesome. What we're going to do now is kind of cut over to my thoughts and feelings on how the event itself went, since I kind of talked about it loosely. But I do want to review some pros and cons of the event, so here we go.
All right, thoughts and feelings on the first ever, last ever Battle Spirits Saga Summoner's Legacy. Again, just kind of show you in more detail how this thing kind of worked. If you got a win, they'd give you a stamp. If you got a loss, you'd get a stamp. As you progress through your wins, these little gray boxes kind of break up the monotony on when you're supposed to be getting your prizing. Doesn't tell you what the prizing is. And then also, just a big shout out, Core TCG, which ran the event, did an awesome job. I think I was able to speak to Henry. Henry, I don't know if you're super high up or if you own Core TCG. I'm pretty sure you do with the way you were speaking, but you never know. I gave you guys a huge pat on the back because compared to other events that I've only heard horror stories of in terms of how they've been handled, you guys handled the event with so much candor and grace. because you have to realize you're handling the end of a service game, but it didn't feel like that. You guys were able to keep the games going. Your judges were awesome. Your officials were awesome. I have no bad remarks for you guys whatsoever. And from my understanding, I didn't hear anybody else really gripe about stuff either, which is really, really good. That just speaks to your level of attention. And I want to give you another big praise, because I think that's awesome. You don't ever, I feel like, hear that nowadays with how some individuals are. So good job, once again. But back to the card itself. So after you got, obviously, your max wins, that's it, like, you're capped out. The other things that you could have won is if, like, you played the most games or if you won the most games. Ori, big shout out to you, bud. I know he was playing some crazy green aggro deck, and I think he ramped up, like, 30 plus wins, which is, double what I was even trying to aim for. I just wanted to fill out this card. Succeeded. Ori did an awesome job just absolutely smoking a whole bunch of people really fast. It was crazy. But that just goes back to the point I'm talking about when I said that the payout, even though it's not financial, it's just like cards, right? So like you go to these events to participate in an environment where people are playing your trading card game of choice. And like from other events, it's always seemed like play your game, wait. Play your game, sit around and wait. Play your game, you got to wait for this guy, then you get to play your stuff. This was fast. Best of one. Sure, not the most appreciated format for Battle Spirits Saga, or most TCGs prefer a best of 3, I feel like, but it was fun, and it was really good. I could sit down, play a game, and you know what? If you win fast, I felt like, or you won to the point of where it was very back and forth. Otherwise, if you lost, in my opinion, you kind of want to lose fast, because you don't want to sit there and take all this time trying to situate yourself with the time or the clock that's running against the event. We were there from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and we were just playing games nonstop. Even the environment didn't feel rushed because we were there for practically the whole day. Finish your game, somebody else comes to the seat, you get to play against that person, win fast, lose fast, whatever it is. It was a great time. And the fact that it was open format where you could side deck cards. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll display my deck right now. I played this thing the entire time until game 15, because game 15 was against one of the devs and we agreed to switch decks. I had 2 deck sleeves. I had an agile deck, which I played the majority the whole time. Then I had a sushi deck as backup just in case. And I had like 50 other cards with me for my agile deck just for a sideboard variant. My deck, even though I tested it and I was able to play a lot of games with some people in the Discord, or even at my local scene, or even with, the Big Thick, as he's kindly known as in the community. I was able to play some games with him and give him my deck list ahead of time and see what changes he was going to make. My deck performed overall very well and exactly as I expected. It had very aggressive, good win matchups, and then, there were some matches, which you'll see if you go click in the videos down below, where it just kind of lost some gas, and that's okay. And like, I didn't want to perfect it or make it too overly aggressive in one direction, because I feel like there was going to be a lot of things that showed up at this event that it wasn't going to perform well on. And sure enough, I made that judgment call and I did a really good job with it. Now, the way top 8 was decided, this is where, we talked about the pros. Everything I just talked about is pro. My deck did good, the event did good, the organizer did good, Bandai staff that was present, the developers were good. Everything was good. Michael Elliott's a phenomenal human being. That was fun. The bad parts, right? So just from a gunslinger format, if this decides to continue in some iteration in some card game in the future, the way it worked is that the winner would stay in their seat, and then the next loser, whoever lost previously, would rotate to that person, and then that winner would fight against that loser. I'm sure as I'm explaining this, you can kind of already see what's happening here, is that if a deck is overly tuned or essentially is over, tier 1, tier 0, whatever, or the person's just really, really good, it doesn't set them up with somebody that might have been really close in their last game. It could have been a deck that completely fell over on its face. Maybe it's not good at all. So that winner is able to capitalize on that loss or that loser essentially in that round, what I feel like very easily. For example, by the time I finished my 3rd game, top 8 was already decided. It was fast. So I was like, I'm not even gonna get it into top 8. But to be completely honest, outside of that one thing, just trying to figure out if a winner's being too successful, how do you break that up, or how do you give them a challenge before the top 8's decided? In all honesty, I don't know if there really is a way of doing that in this format, at least politely. But, you know, it is what it is. That's just something I observed. But those players that got top 8 deserve it full-heartedly. That's not to take away from them at all. Those deck lists were very, very cool. I feel bad I wasn't able to spectate them all that much because, again, as top 8 is taking place, the Gunslinger event's still running. So you don't stop just because top 8's picked out. Not everybody's huddled around their table trying to watch what they're doing, just the judges primarily, as well as the other top 8 as they kind of play out their games. But while that's happening, I was still able to play the game that I love. And I think that's awesome. That's what I really liked about this format, was there was really no downtime until the intermission, when you claim your prizes and you get your initials, or you go get some signatures from Michael Elliott, you go talk to one of the devs, and all that other fun stuff. So the way it was handled is very, very good in that respect too. The atmosphere was very positive. Even though the game, again, end of service, everybody in there was just having a really good time. And this is the thing too I want to talk about. Bandai should have a more consistent presence, in my opinion, because when you get to talk with a dev, or you get to talk to Michael Elliott, or you get to do these things, it almost feels like I'm at the Disneyland of trading cards. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going there to experience the environment, not to experience necessarily the other players, but I want to see what Bandai has to offer, or, you know, what I can try to do if I'm wanting that extra itch besides just playing the trading card game. Having more devs present, I think, would be good for initial feedback. I understand, you know, TCGs bring in such a wide audience. And again, the whole reason I started my channel was just to be able to effectively communicate better. But, you know, I know some people might not give the best communication or best feedback when it comes to that stuff. So yes, maybe there does need to be something that pushes that feedback up somewhere to kind of get you what you need to extrapolate from. But again, the feedback, I don't necessarily know if there was really going to be any at the end of service time for Battle Spirits Saga. They did hear some of our gripes, and they were very good about it and very positive towards it. But again, it's a developer. The developer at the end of the day is going to love the game that they're developing. It really comes down to the business side of things. If something doesn't go well, that usually a game will turn into end of service or whatever the case is. But yeah, I would love to see more boots on the ground when it comes to Bandai staff and developers and people I can start to appreciate. Those are the people that give me hope, that make me appreciate the product that they're making, because I know they care. And sometimes just seeing it for yourself and not always reading about it or seeing a message online or a forum post goes a long way. And I liked that atmosphere. I thought it was good. So good job, guys. Okay, so moving on to a couple of other things. Specifically on my deck, since we talked a little bit about Summer's Legacy. Awesome time with the guys, the Arizona crew. You guys are great. I don't think I've ever had this much fun in a very long time, at least several years. Where I get such camaraderie just around a trading card game. Who would have thought? Like, that's just so crazy to me, trading card game bringing people together like that. So crazy. But I want to talk about my deck list a little bit. Not too long, because I know the video now is kind of spanning, I think, 20 minutes, and I want to try and keep it within that time limit. Cards that exceeded my expectation. I'm going to put these down really quick and show you. And no, I didn't max rarity it. I thought about it, guys, but I'm like, no, I'll just keep them at home. Oh, and you know what? I nabbed so many people with this card. Okay, so obviously, Awori, practically the top end in the Agile deck. Ramp cores, draw cards for days. It was awesome. Astral is still such a good card in format, especially with Link Spirits. Being able to link with Zamita 4 cost, which just covers so many ground. Swinging over the 2 cores to refresh Agile's thing, which is summoning another spirit after this thing's done battling. Huge, huge, huge. Was absolutely amazing. Skybound Falls performed way better than I thought. Even with just dropping a spirit and getting that boost on a Nexus is all I needed sometimes. To swing over something or to swing into something and take it out, which was really, really good. The level 2 effect is absolutely broken in my opinion, because you have so many cores in this deck really fast by turn 3 or 4, that activating the turn 2 and leaving those there doesn't really hurt you to any degree. Allowing the opponent to hit you, and then drawing cards off that worked out great. Enveloping Flame Whirlwind, setting down a card, standing up another card, and then also changing the cost just dependent on the burst being set by the opponent was huge. Caught a lot of people off guard with this, and they just weren't expecting it. This card I'm going to keep separate from the rest just because it overperformed based on the current format of what people were bringing. There was a lot of low-cost spirits with low-hanging BPs, especially against aggro decks. There were quite a few. Owori's Judgment bailed me out of quite a few mishaps. Able to single target and kill something that was in my way that was kind of just messing with my tempo, or cleaving an entire board of anywhere from like 2 to 3 spirits or even 4 was absolutely amazing. So Owori's Judgment absolutely, in my opinion, has to stay in with Owori. I just think it's such a good card. I did not run any Floodstream, and I did not sideboard any. I wanted to try as hard as I could to have restrictions of playing with in-color format only, so I was restricting myself to just red and green cards. And for that reason, I feel like the deck was very consistent, and I had like no issues with it. The last card that a lot of people weren't expecting, they thought I was going to set it in burst. I really didn't. The couple times I did go against mill decks in that format, I didn't really have to worry about setting it because they either weren't milling me out fast enough where I had to care about it, or I didn't feel like it was a threat where I couldn't just draw into what I needed faster than they could mill me out. So I did use it from hand on the flash to set an opponent's spirit down, just so they couldn't get an extra swing in. And sometimes that's all I needed, was to just hold my life at 1. The way I played the deck was obviously going for my pieces, drawing as much as possible, whether it was using Link or Wori, Starblessed Draw, really anything there. I had no Nexus hate in the deck, as you can go check out in the other stuff. In the deck list or even the picture I posted. The format, I didn't really have to worry about any Nexus control. There wasn't really a Nexus that harmed me, I feel like, to any degree that I wasn't already prepared for. So mentally, I felt very prepared going into this format as well. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my deck a little bit. I don't get to really sit down and kind of talk about it all that much. If you want to sleeve this up, I would absolutely recommend it. I've been so happy with this deck to the point where I'm going to immortalize it, put it in my BSS sleeves or my Pro Tour sleeves, and essentially call it a day for this deck because I think it's done for the most part. I'll do a different video maybe later, kind of showcasing some of the textures and stuff later down the road. But again, if you're able to get a hold of these cards, they're really, really cool. Both the textures and even the flat cards are really, really pretty. And the few times that people did sleeve these in against me, I was not prepared for them. Not so much this, but the new monsters, the spirits, really, really cool. Just to kind of shout out the signatures one more time that we were able to get on the Scotty mat. Maybe this thing will make some debuts in some other TCG related content. I'm not sure yet. But we've got Tatsuro's signature, Kento, and then Michael Elliott's. And yeah, man, that event was so fun. It's hard to turn off this video because I'm like, as soon as I turn it off, it's really done, you know? It's so crazy to think about. All right, but I've gone on long enough. In the meantime, I will catch you guys in the next one. Stay tuned. Peace.